you want to start, Puramji?
I can't see it. I can see
Oh,
my face. I can't see the.
okay. Let me start again. 1 second.
Yes. Yes, I can see it now. Shall I start? Uh, what is happiness? It is a universally accepted fact that all jivas desire happiness and fear suffering. But the question remains, what is true happiness? What is considered true happiness? Without understanding the true nature of happiness, the mere desire for it holds no meaning. In general, people consider materialistic possessions that are meant for indulgence and happiness, joy, as a means to attain real happiness. Therefore, the efforts are directed towards acquiring these possessions. In their perspective, how to attain happiness stands for how to attain material possessions for indulgence. What is happiness? Such questions do not arise in their hearts because they believe that a life of sensual enjoyment is a life of happiness. Therefore, whenever discussions about happiness and prosperity arise, it is often said to love all, work hard, produce more food, and strive for industrial and scientific progress. These will lead to prosperity in the nation, and everyone will become happy. Idealistic statements are made that one day every human being will have nutritious food to eat, suitable clothing for every season, and modern houses equipped with scientific facilities. Then everyone will be happy. We do not want to argue whether all of these will happen or not, but our question is whether he will have a happy life even after all of these things happen. If yes, then those who already possess all these things, are they happy today? Or the countries that are touching the zenith of prosperity, is everyone happy and peaceful there? But it is observed that everyone is distressed and agitated, anxious and worried. Therefore, what is happiness needs to be contemplated seriously. Without deriving the understanding of what is true happiness and where can it be found, true effort cannot be made in that direction, and true happiness will not be attained. Some intellectuals go further and say, brother, there is no happiness in material possessions. Happiness and sorrow exist only in imagination. They give an example to support their argument that there's a man who owns a two-story house with a five-story house on his right and a hut on his left. When he looks to the right, he feels sad, and when he looks to the left, he feels happy. Thus, the experience of happiness and sorrow is not inherent in material possessions, but is rather a result of imagination. These wise individuals advise that if you want to be happy, look at those who have less material possessions than you, and you will become happy. If you constantly look at those who are more affluent, you will experience unhappiness. It is an inappropriate way to say that happiness is merely an imagination, or to attain happiness looking towards a hut poor and destitute when compared to self, because even a worldly virtuous person becomes compassionate when he sees the suffering of the miserable. Imagine that by comparing that you are better off than the unhappy ones displays a lack of compassion and also embraces a state of satisfaction rooted in egoism. This can never be called happiness. Is happiness something that will come to you merely by looking at that hut? Until your attention does not turn towards true happiness, it will not be attained. This method of attaining happiness is also incorrect because what is happiness? No efforts have been made to understand that. Instead, he considers happiness to be generated by sensual pleasures alone. The question, what is happiness, is answered as in imagination. So if we accept that happiness is imaginary, sorry, I have to turn my phone off. Uh, if if we accept that happiness is imaginary, meaning it is not real, can it be concluded that happiness does not exist at all? However, it is likely that you would not agree with this statement either. Therefore, it's clear that the pleasure derived from sensual indulgences, known as sensory pleasure, is imaginary, and true happiness is different from it. The question then arises, what is real happiness? This is the fundamental question. Some people say, you do this, do that, and your desire will be fulfilled. You'll obtain the desired object and you will become happy. These people believe the fulfillment of desires as happiness and the fulfillment of desires as suffering. It's not possible to fulfill all desires because there are infinite beings and each has infinite desires with limited materials for indulgence. And as soon as one desire is fulfilled, a new desire arises. In this way, the flow pattern of desires that never end continues to prevail. Therefore, it is certain that the fulfillment of ever-changing desires is never possible. Hence, the fulfillment of your desires and wishes leads to happiness. Such imaginations are proved to be like a mirage. Neither will all desires be fulfilled, nor will a being be happy after the fulfillment of desires. In reality, there is no happiness in the fulfillment of desires. It's like transferring the burden of the head on the shoulders and feel happy. If someone says that the more desires are fulfilled, the more happiness there will be, although not completely, this statement is also incorrect because true happiness lies in the absence of desires, not in the fulfillment of desires. Because we experience less agitation even if desires are partially reduced. Hence, it can naturally be inferred that there is complete happiness in the complete absence of desires. If it is said that desire ceases upon fulfillment, then it should be called happiness. But this statement is also incorrect because the absence of desire does not mean their fulfillment, but rather the absence of their arising itself. The happiness obtained through the material indulgences is certainly not real happiness. It's merely a variation of suffering. Due to restlessness, it is essentially sorrow. The nature of happiness is tranquility, and there is no tranquility found in sensory pleasure. Experiences through the senses is called sensual pleasure. In reality, it is essentially a classification of suffering. It is happiness only by name. Transcendental bliss, Atindriya Anand, is beyond the senses and thus cannot be experienced through them. Just as the soul is transcendental and cannot be experienced through the senses, similarly, transcendental bliss, being belonging to the soul, cannot be attained through the senses. An object is found in a place where it is supposed to be found only. The object will not be present in a, Vinitha, you need to scroll down for me. The object will not be present in a place where there is no possibility of its existence. Just how can it be found there? Just as knowledge is one of the attributes of the soul, therefore the attainment of knowledge is only possible within the conscious soul, not in inert matter. Similarly, happiness is also a quality of the soul, not of inert matter. Therefore, the attainment of happiness will be within the soul, not an inert object such as the body. In the same way, the soul, by not recognizing the self, wanders with ignorant false knowledge, mithya gyan. In the same way, jiva, desiring happiness of self, is inclined towards the external non-self objects, and this is the root cause of their suffering. The direction in which he seeks happiness is incorrect. If the direction is incorrect, then the resulting state of being will also be incorrect only. Means it will be sorrowful. To attain true happiness, we need to shift our focus from external factors. I think you've scrolled up a bit much. It's okay, but shall I just, I think you scroll down too much. A bit more. I can start from here. It's okay. True happiness is an experiential reality of Atma. It's not something that can be spoken or demonstrated. It can be obtained only by turning one's perception away from all external objects and becoming self-engrossed in one's own knowledge-natured soul. Since the soul is inherently blissful, Benichi, you need to scroll down for me. more, the experience of the soul is an experience of happiness. Just as the soul cannot be attained without realization, in the same way, true happiness cannot be attained without self-realization. Upon deep contemplation, it becomes apparent that the soul does not need to obtain happiness from anywhere because it's inherently composed of happiness. It is blissful and happiness itself. What does one who's the embodiment of happiness need to obtain happiness for? It's not something to be obtained. It is something to relish, to experience. Why yearn for happiness? There's no happiness in restlessness. There's absence of happiness in restlessness. Restlessness itself is a form of suffering. Absence of restlessness is happiness. Similarly, why desire happiness? Desire itself is an embodiment of suffering. Absence of desire is happiness. What is happiness? Where is happiness? How can it be attained? All these questions have only one answer, only one solution, and that is self-realization, Ātmānubhūti. To obtain self-realization, the only primary solution is to do contemplation of fundamental elements. But keep in mind that the experience of self-realization arises beyond the initial stage of contemplation. Who am I? What is Atma? And how is self-realization attained? These are separate topics, therefore separate analysis is expected for them. Can you scroll down, Vinitji? Unless Anubhavji is here and you want me to stop. That's it? Oh, all right. Yeah.
Thank you, Poonamji. That was really well read. I was actually struggling there because behind the document, I had YouTube playing and I forgot to mute it. So I had you twice in my ear. That's how I was struggling to keep up because, yeah.
Binit,
Yes.
I was wondering, because Anubhavji said he's running late a little
Yeah,
bit.
he is. Yeah.
Did we? I don't think we finished reading chapter 4.
No, we didn't.
We got to Upwas Pratima, I think.
Okay. 1 second. Let me bring it up. May as well. Okay, which step was it?
Page 24.
Upwas Pratima,
Okay.
or something like that. Like the 4th one.
4th. Okay. Somebody wants to read? I'll share again.
I can read. Right, so fasting 4 times a month, step of renunciation, Brosha Dupwas Pratima. Pratamahi Samyagdarśana Jar Bahali Hoi Attava At Baharahe Prasad Pratima Soy, meaning in the first Samayik lasting for 4 Bahar, 3-hour segments, during the day, or even if it continues for 8 Bahars, it is known as Prasad Pratima. When the state of equanimity lasts for a minimum of 12 hours and specifically for 24 hours, it is called Prasad Pratima. A householder having Prasad Pratima with increased devotion and engrossment in Ātmānubhūti, self-realization, than before, reduces attachments in external possessions, and at least 4 times a month on Ashtami and Chaturdashi the 8th and 14th day of the waxing and waning lunar cycle. Renounces all external possessions, including food. Due to this practice, he gradually reduces attachment to the world, body, and pleasures. Therefore, by abstaining from food and other possessions and taking a vow of fasting, such a person becomes Shravak of Broshad Pratima. Simply observing fasting 4 times a month doesn't make one the 4th step holding householder, Ch.4 Pratimādhari Shravak, and abstaining from only food isn't considered fasting, because where there is Shaya Vishaya Haratyago Yatra Vidyate Upvasa Sa Vijnaya Sesam Langanakam Vidu. Where there is renunciation of all 3 passions, sensual pleasures, and food, that is indeed fasting. The rest is considered as just skipping meals. Langan.
Thank you, Kripa.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anubhuji's joined. Anubhuji, we've read chapter 5 already. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So, I'm so sorry. We had another meeting now. Let's start with my lecturing. I hope I am audible.
Yes, all good. Thank you.
Mangalam Tattvajñāna Pāṭhamālā Sarvamangalyam Sarvakalyanakārikam Pradhanam Sarvadharmāṇam Chainam Chaitūshāsanam Chainam Chaitūshāsanam Shimargasya Nitaram Nitaram Karma Putratam Yataram Vishwatattvanam Vande Tat Puṇyatam Vande Tat Puṇyatam Vande Tat Puṇyatam. So we all are discussing the chapter number 5. Yes, it is the 5th chapter, right? The number is 4 titled.
Anubhavji, we have to finish chapter 4 first.
Yeah, chapter number 4, yeah, the number sequence of 11 Pratimā.
I see.
And we started reading about the 11 Pratimās, where we talked about how the Kashayas, they diminish not in absolute sense, they gradually decline. And so, though we have divided the intensities of Kashayas into the 4 stages, Ānantanubandhi, Pratyekshānavaran, and sensual, the departure of Ānantanubandhi and the arrival of the next big stage, it leaves a big window where we have different types of householders based on the different levels of Kashaya they have. So Ānantanubandhi is already gone. And so the 4th Guṇasthāna has arrived, and we are calling everybody as Avirati Shravak. So this is Shravak who is residing in their own houses, doing their businesses, having their families, and nothing big has happened in terms of their upgradation into the path of liberation from the outer side. You cannot see that they have a proper dress code, they do certain type of kriyas on daily basis, nothing. There will be no difference between between a Samyak Drishti and a Mithya Drishti when you look from the outside. If the Samyak Drishti is Avirat Samyak Drishti or the 4th Guṇasthāna householder. Okay? There is no difference. The only difference is internally that his Darshan Mohiniya Karma and his Ānantanubandhi Kashaya, they have gone. That has happened internally. So his Kashaya Shakti, the intensity of his passions, it has declined and it has come down to the level of Pratyekshānavaran Kashaya. Now, this Pratyakhyāna Kashaya is the Kashaya which is stopping even even a tiny little particle of charitra, of conduct, from taking any shape in the soul. So Pratyakhyāna is charitra, and Pratyakhyāna is Deśavirata, even little bit of charitra. You cannot even practice the charitra partially. That kashaya is called a Pratyakhyāna Avaran. So Pratyakhyāna is charitra, conduct, austerity, the renunciations we do, the Shuddhopayog in our own soul that we have, the decline of kashaya. So we're calling that charitra, the kashaya, which does not let this charitra sprout. It does not let it arise even partially. The Muniraj monks, they have the complete charitra. They enjoy the charitra in its completeness. So they are called Mahavratis. So they are Sakal Charitra Vant Jivas. Okay, so they have the complete conduct. I'm saying let's negotiate. Okay, what if I do not have what I do not have complete charitra? But what if I want to have partial charitra? So the Desha Charitra, the partial Charitra, even that will not be allowed if the Kashai of a Pratyakhyana Varan is there and it's functioning, and if it is functioning. Therefore, what happened, Raja Shrenik, we call him Shravakottam. So Raja Shrenik, he was one of the very active listener of the Divyadvani of Tirthankar Mahavir Swami in the Rajgrahi when Mahavir Bhagwan Samavcharan came. It was the kingdom of Raja Shrenik. So Raja Shrenik, he was a very uh, ardent follower of Jainism, and he was Chaik Samyag Drishti. So he literally destroyed the Darshan Mohini Karm from its roots. And he is scheduled to be a Tirthankara in his upcoming births. So he is a Chaik Samyag Drishti, means he'll never now come back to the state of delusion ever in future. That is called Chaik Samyag Drishti, which never falls back to Mithya Darshan. So he'll never be deluded ever again. And then he stands in the Samavcharan of Mahavir Bhagwan and he pleads in front of Mahavir Bhagwan and he says, Bhagwan, I see on daily basis there are so many Bhavya Jivas that come to your Samavcharan. Some of them seek, they began from you and they get it and they become Jain monks. Some of them even get themselves elevated to Gardharpad, to Acharya, to Upadhyayas. Some of the people who come, if they not become Muniraj, they become Samyak Drishti and they also attain some Anuvratas. They even become Chullaks. They even have different types of brahmacharyas in their lives. I also want to have these, if not Mahavratas. I also want to have these partial vratas. But the moment I try to take a vow, if I try to take a vow, I don't get the courage. I don't get the conviction to have that type of niyam, that type of vrat, that type of vow. I cannot. What is the reason? I know that I have to have it. I know that I should do this. I know that I should not waste my life in these things which I am wasting in. I know everything. Yet I'm not able to have these vratas. What is the reason? And so Mahavir Bhagwan says that since you have already reserved your next Ayu, so you got his Ayu of Narakayu, when he did the Upsarg on Yashodhar Muniraj. If you remember the story of Raja Shrenik and Rani Chedla, and that dead snake which was put onto the body of meditating Yashodhar Muniraj. And at that time, he actually attracted and that was the same time when his Ayu's Tribhag was happening. So the opening, that tiny window of the bondage of Ayu Karma opened. And in that bondage, he was not in a very healthy state of passions. And he got bonded with the seventh Narak Ayu. Later on, he attained Samyak Darshan. His Narakayu got reduced to, instead of seven, now he'll be going to the first. He is right now in the first Naraka. But what happens is the rule is if you have to go to Naraka in this next life, okay, if you have done the reservations of Narakgati, then you will not have your emotions that will allow you to take any type of renunciation, any type of vrata, any type of tap. You will not be able to do it. And we call it, this is a very famous saying in our scriptures, Jaisi gati, vaisi mati. So based on your destination, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions work. So we say na vinash kale viparit buddhi. So when there comes a bad time, all your intelligence, it kind of disappears. You may be very smart, you may be very good, but just imagine that you are crossing a road and suddenly you see a bus at its full speed coming. You see it and you get frozen. You do not know. It's very simple. You have to just jump 1 meter to that side and you'll be safe. The bus will just go straight. But when that time comes, somehow you freeze. Somehow in times of adversities, somehow our mind does not work. It stops. It knows. I can advise, in the best of the manners to a fellow being who is undergoing a problem, who is facing a problem. But had I been in the same problem, I would not know what to do. So it's easier to suggest others than to follow it ourselves. So what Mahavir Bhagwan said, because you have to go to Naraka, if you'll have vratas will attract good karmas. Those good karmas will lead to good consequences. But in Narak, you're locked in for like 84,000 years. There is no fruition of good karmas allowed. So when that cannot come to fruition, you cannot even attract it. When you're not allowed to attract it, you cannot have those types of paths also. So your passions will not come down to that level. So he cannot um, let go of Āpratyakhyanavaran Kashayan. That's why Raja Shrenik, despite being called Shravakottam, was not even a fifth Gunasthan Shravak. Because he could not let go of Āpratyakhyanavaran Kashai. And because of that Kashai, you cannot have even little bit of charitra, no anuvrats. Forget about Mahavrat. Forget about becoming a monk. You cannot have it. So sometimes it becomes very difficult for us. Now, if I have to go to the temple and I have to do the darshan, the one of the most important decision that I'll have to make is whether to switch off the phone or put it on flight mode or just silent it. Silent it or vibrate it or just completely silent it or just let it be. Kaun call karne wala hai. So I'll not at all even put it on silent mode. So many options I have. I can directly turn it off. I can put it on aeroplane mode. I can just completely silence it, or I can put it on silence and vibration, or I can just keep it as it is. So there are 5 categories, right? I have now 5 options. Before entering the temple, I have to choose one of these. So for some people, it's very convenient to just put it on silent and keep the vibration on. Because you want to know, even if a message comes at you, it will not make sound, it will not disturb others. So what, it disturbs me? I at least know that somebody buzzed, somebody called. Yes, there would be some person who will say, "ठीक है, at least let's not put it on vibration as well. Let's completely put it on silent mode." But at least I will know, and the person who is going to call me, at least they will not know that my phone is switched off, so they'll be a bit relieved. So, and after coming out of the temple, I'll check and I'll call back. So now that is also big. Those who are putting it on aeroplane mode, they're saying, what if I need to take picture, I need to record, so I'll not switch off the phone. I'll just put it on aeroplane mode. So there's no incoming call, no incoming message, no text, no WhatsApp. Others may say, ठीक है, चलो मंदिर में Wi-Fi तो we have. So what's the use of data? So they'll put it on silent and they'll still get the messages over WhatsApp or over whatever social media platform. Others would say that I do not want any type of distraction while I'm in temple. So I'll just not just put it on silent, or I'll not just switch it off. I'll leave my phone at my home, or I'll keep it outside. I don't want to carry it in my pockets. Now you say same activity of entering the temple, but the decision making in leaving your phone involves degree of detachment towards your phone. And how importance do you consider? And for how long you are entering the temple, you will not stay there for more than 10 minutes. You just calculate, you'll just go there, you'll do Namo Mantra jaldi jaldi, maybe you'll do Parikrama. 9 times Namo Mantra will happen in what, 30 seconds? And then you'll come out. We anyways have very little time to, we take while we do darshan. And yet, those 10 minutes, we assume all sorts of things. What if they call? What if I miss on a call? What happens if I do not get and pick it on time? You're getting it? So 10 minutes, you're not free even for 10 minutes. You do not have 10 minutes for yourself where you are not worried or you're not burdened by the obligation to answer somebody or to reply to someone. This is how, in a spider web, we all are trapped with this phone, which is calling itself wireless, which is not. We are all wired from every head to toe. If I do not pick it, he leaves the voicemail. If I do not reply to voicemail, they have the liberty to text me, to WhatsApp me, to message on my Instagram, on my Facebook, everywhere, and then over the top email me. Yeah, I cannot escape. I cannot. So it is not wireless. It is actually wired us from head to toe. So now it requires degree of detachment. That degree is being discussed in this chapter, just to understand it how, being on the same level of understanding, how our detachments may differ. We all know, we all have the understanding that in temple, other people meditate, they do swadhyaya. Nobody should be disturbed because of the ringtone of my phone. This is the common understanding everybody has. But now the degree of detachment, whether do I not carry the phone or I carry it on silent vibration mode, that degree is the degree of detachment. That is how we are calculating and dividing the fifth Guṇasthāna in 11 stages. Just to give you the perspective. So one person will just say that, okay, I'll have 8 vratas, I'll not eat madhyamans, madhu, panchagambar fal, I'll not eat at night, and I'll go to the temple daily. I'll be a darshanik shravak. I'll have my belief and I'll practice on daily basis. This person has kept it on the minimal. Okay, this is the what I'm going to do for sure. Okay, the next person says no, I'll take on the 12 vratas as well. So 5 anuvratas I'll have, 3 gunvratas I will have, and 4 shiksha vratas I'll practice. So now he has upgraded himself. A level up has happened. Okay, so that will become the second pratima. So similarly, so on and so forth, we'll have different categories of the sadhak jiva who want to uh, who want to pursue the moksha marg, but dhire dhire, slowly and gradually up and running, because it is said, dhire dhire re mana, dhire hi sab hoye, mali siiche so ghada, ritu aaye fal hoye. So there is a gardener who uses buckets of filled with water, and he waters his plant on daily basis. But the only thing that he does it in winters. When will his mango tree give him mango? So, no matter you give a bucket full of water or you do hundreds of the bucket on daily basis, the fruit will only come when there is the right time, right season. So it is said, "Dhire dhire re mana, dhire hi sab hoye." Why are you in so much of hurry? Everything happens on a very, very gradual basis. Everything takes its own course of time. So, dhire dhire re mana, dhire hi sab hoye, mali siiche so ghada, ritu aaye. When the season comes, fal hoye, the fruition happens. Similarly, this sadhak jeev, he is not restless. A Samyik Drishti is not in hurry to become Siddha. He knows that will happen because I am not going to be complete when I become Siddha. I am complete, therefore there is the possibility to become a Siddha. Yeah, I am gradually pressing the accelerator of my car, not because the car will gain its own momentum the moment I press the accelerator. No, the car has the capacity to go up to the 200 miles. Yeah, I need to figure out my pace. The car has the momentum. The car has the highest top speed at 240 miles. The car can go. I need to figure out when can I handle, can I drive at that speed? So my acceleration will be gradual. Similarly, the soul is capable of achieving so much. When I'm saying Arihantas, Siddhas, Acharyas, Upadhyayas, Sadhus, they all are nothing but the paryaya of this very soul. The soul took over those forms. I am the one who will become Siddha. So it has the top speed of becoming Siddha. Yeah. But does my present mind, does my present emotion, do they allow, can they drive at that such pace? What if I just disown everything and I start residing in jungles, saying, no, I want to become a sadhu and I am Shuddhatma. I can become a sadhu. Sadhus are Shuddhatmas only. But dude, that will look good for 2, 3 days. Fourth day, you will realize what you have done. And that is what happens with most of the people. When they go to the temple for 10 days of Daśavirata, everybody is there in the temple and everybody is so positive, so involved, so kind. Everybody is forgiving everybody. Everybody is so loving suddenly. Everybody is cooperating. And so somehow we get the feeling that people are very good and it is because of the dharma. And, I should also, start practicing dharma. By the end of the 10th day, we all are so elevated, so excited and so motivated. We take big, big vows. We take big niyams. We said, oh, for this year, I'm going to do swadhyay every day for 30 minutes. Now you have taken it in the heat of the moment, this vow. But, 10 days down the line, you realize 30 minutes are really long time to invest. And then gradually people skip. They say, okay, TK, I have missed it today. Tomorrow I'll do it for 1 hour. So I'll make up for this day. But one day becomes 2 days, 2 days become 4 days. And people, they just, and then until the time you even forget about your vote, the next selection perf comes. And you have fresh window of lying to yourself after 10 days of motivation. So this is what is being told to us by our Tirthankaras. Do not be motivated for the wrong reasons. You do not have to be motivated to be Siddh. The Siddha Dasha is the aim. The Arihantas are the aim, are the people, are the figures we look up to. That's fine. But we are not in a race to be Arihanta because I will not be complete when I become Arihanta. I am complete and that's how I will become Arihant. Yeah. I do not have to, if I do not ride this car at 180 miles per hour, its capacity may start shrinking. What if my car does not move beyond 80 miles per hour? It will not happen. Your car will stay at its top speed. You increase your momentum based on how well versed you are with driving the car. You do not go by how much the car is capable of, running, how fast it can run, how fast can you drive. So it is advised that, it is what Pandit Milji would say, it is what we'll be reading it in this chapter, that this particular chapter is telling us that how systematic, how gradual, how step by step do we have to proceed in our pursuit of liberation, in our pursuit of happiness. We do not have to run. We do not have to be restless that, okay, ye to ho hi nahi raha hai. Why am I not able to do this? So even the Samyagdarshana Ram, we read his story in our Vitrag Vigyan chapters, Balbhadra Ram, right? Even he fought war for his wife. Yeah, he was Samyagdarshana Ram. He would have said, "Okay, fine. Anyways, I was trying to take brahmacharya. Now the wife is gone. The job has become easy. I'll become a monk. I'll become a monk. I disown everything. Lakshman, you see if you have to do anything. Otherwise, I'm to off it. Sansar is asar. So I let me go." Can you do this? You cannot. This is not escapism. This is not how it works. It will be completely wrong and corrupt if he would have done that. It would have been disaster. This is not what Mahavir Bhagwan is saying. That you disown and you just run away from all your responsibilities. No, you'll have to seek permission from your family. You'll have to settle all your dues and debts. You cannot just become a Vitragi monk and say, "Okay, I'm free from today." Go pay back your loan in the bank first. Then you can become a monk. Yeah. So it does not have to be a very fast-paced upgradation in life that, like fashion works. They have also had this niyam, I should also have it. So there is no peer pressure of taking niyam in Jain philosophy. You understand it at your own pace. You analyze your own strength. How much can you endure? How much is like what is the temperature of your temperament? How do you uh, deal with your emotions, your passions? And that's how we decide the different levels. So when in the second level somebody took the vratas, then only we came to the third level when we also started doing the samayik. Yeah, so samayik was equanimous step of renunciation, samayik pratima. And here what we did, we sat for a muhurt at least, 3 times a day, and we started practicing or remembering all our Tirthankaras. We started doing stuti, vandana. We started doing pratikraman. We started seeking forgiveness for all the misconduct that I've done throughout the day. And then we started sitting down in the complete equanimous state, where we say that at this point in time, there is no friend, there is no enemy, there is no house, there is no non house, there is no body, there is no self, there is nobody, no notion which is arising from my attachment to this outer reality. So I'm not Anubhav, I'm not a child, I'm not a father, I'm not a husband, I'm not Indian, I'm not human, I'm not male. No, I am just I. I am the soul that I am. That's it. So that samai, that letting go of artha and raudra dhyan, and then controlling our own kashayas. That becomes the third. So now this person, while we are struggling to figure out whether should I switch off my phone before entering the temple or not, this person has taken out 3 muhurt of his day and he has started sitting quietly down, saying that okay, come what may, for next 48 minutes or for next 1 hour, I'm going to be unshakable. I'm going to be here. Whether the death comes, whatever comes, what may, I'll not be deterred from here. Yes, everyone. So this was the third Samai Kritima. And when that happened, then I said, okay, if I can do the um fasting of my thoughts, which was happening in Samay, then why not do the fasting of food as well? So Samay was, to have fasting, like it's mental fasting. You'll not be doing any of the durvikalpa, artha or Rodri. Then came the Proshad Upavas. We call it Proshad Upavas Pratimur. You have to fast 4 times a month. What are those 4 times? We all call those 4 times as tithis. So we have 2 Ashtamis and 2 Chaturdashis. Uh, According to lunar calendar, we have 30 days in a month, 15 of Krishna Paksh, 15 of Shukla Paksh. Krishna Paksh is when the full moon starts deteriorating and then it goes to the no moon phase. And the Shukla Paksh is when the moon is uprising. So from no moon, it comes to the full moon. Yeah. So 15 days we have, so they become the 15 tithis. So the 15th tithi in the full moon phase, we call it Purnima. And in the no moon phase in Krishna Paksh, the 15th date is called Amavasya. Then we have from first Prathama till Chaturdashi, 14 days and one Purnima, 14 days and one Amavasya. Yes, everyone, lunar month, simple. Okay? So what we'll do, we'll say that, okay, Pratyakhanavaran Kashai is a Kashai which sustains for more than 15 days. So if I linger onto a certain emotion for more than 15 days, I will again attract the Apratyakhanavaran karma. Okay, everyone. This is general understanding. Huh? This is very, we are because beginners, so we're talking like this. Technically, it does not work like that, but to make more sense of it so that, it stays in our brains. So, we understood the examples of four kashayas. If I have engraved one line on a stone, how, how can it be raised? It will not be erased using erasers. It will not be erased, using water. You cannot. You'll have to, just now over the years, if that stone loses its, over the years because of the rains, or you use some machinery to level it, then only you can erase this. So this is for eternity, as it seems. The kashai which goes like this, which is like you draw one line on a stone. That kashai, we call it Anantanubhūti. So how do we say, like, how long will that line be? It will be for too long. It may be centuries if nobody tries to rub it. That's how we have so many inscriptions on these stone walls. Yes, everyone, it is the best way to keep history. You write if you want something for centuries to remember, you get it encrypted on a stone. Yeah, because it does not get erased easily. Yeah. So for Jain perspective, we say any kashai which has a run for over 6 months, we call it Anantanubandhi. That gets converted into pair. You have made that one line engraved on your soul. So that becomes. So therefore we say that, we have Daśalakshan Parvas coming 3 times a year. And therefore Uttam Kshama also comes 3 times a year. And therefore we have this deadline of 6 months. So before 6 months end, we have one Uttam Kshama. So before it gets converted into Anantanubandhi, you please seek forgiveness. Come on, please. So this is how practical it goes. Now, between 6 months to 15 days is the window, is the playground of Apratyakhanavaran Kashaya. So if you have that same range going over for 15 days, between 6 months, then this is the playground of Apratyakhanavaran Kashaya. I am saying not in technical terms, and just to make an understanding of, why we should be, saying thank you and sorry frequently. This is that session. Okay. So if your Kashaya sustains for more than 15 days, then means you have a Pratyakhanavaran layer of Kashaya with you. So now, if I have to be a Anuvrati, means the fifth Gunasthan Varti, right? Therefore, Bharat Chakravarti is going for a fight and he's, taking his Jin Mandir along with him. So he's fighting, but he's temple also. So none of the Kashayas are sustaining for more than 6 months. They are being averaged out. Yeah. But what if I want to be Anuvrati? So now I have to ensure, just like I was ensuring that it should not breach the 6 months mark to avoid Anantanubandhi, it should also not breach now the 15-day mark to avoid Anantanubandhi. Pratyakhanavaran. Okay. So now 15-day mark ko how do we remember? So we have 15 days ka paksh. So let's do the half of it. So on 8th day, you realize that, okay, I am going to do Samayik and Upas. That is your cycle of breaking up Pratyakhanavaran from regenerating. You're getting it? Therefore, every 15 days, we get 2 opportunities. But if I cannot do it on Ashtami, don't worry. Just do it before the deadline. 14th is Chaturdashi. So do it on the 14th if you're not able to do it on 8th. Getting it? It's so simple, so sorted. So the Ashtami and Chaturdashi rationale for them is coming from our scriptures like Kashaya Praprat, where they mention the sanskar of those Kashayas in terms of months. So Nandanubandhi has a run longer than 6 months. Our Pratyakyanavaran has 15 days. So Proshadopavas Pratima is saying that okay, you start this practice. You are anyways doing Samayik on daily basis. But you do it in a very formally structured manner that on every 8th and 14th of every Paksh. So that brings 4 Upavas holidays, like 4 food holidays every month. That is on the Ashtami and Chaturdashi of Shukla Paksh and then Ashtami and Chaturdashi of Krishna Paksh. If that happens, you're well to do. You will stay in this 5th Guṇasthāna. You will not fall back to 4th. Yeah? Everyone, you understood the rationale? So see, if we read it, it will make more sense. प्रथमहि सामायिक दशा चार पहरली होए. Sorry, this is, yeah. प्रथमहि सामायिक दशा चार पहरलो होए अथवा 8 पहर रहे प्रोषद प्रतिमा सोए. So, सामायिक की दशा has to be kam se kam, it has to be at least 4 prahar. So 1 prahar is of 3 hours. So 4 into 3 becomes 12 hours. Let's read it. In the first Samayik, lasting for 4 prahar, 3-hour segment during the day, or even if it continues for 8 prahars, it is known as Proshat Pratima. So that same Samayik now gradually starting. Okay? So earlier I was doing it for 48 minutes and then I would go back to my kitchen, I'll cook something for me and I'll eat. Yeah. But now I'm staying there for a longer time, no time to cook. So meals are anyways automatically skipped. When the state of equanimity lasts for a minimum of 12 hours and specifically for 24 hours, it is called Proshad Pratima. A householder having Proshad Pratima with increased devotion and engrossment in Ātmānubhūti than before, which uses attachments to external possessions and at least 4 times a month on Ashtami and Chaturdashi, renounces all external possessions, including food. Due to this practice, he gradually reduces attachment to the world, body, and pleasures. Sansar, Sharir, and Bhog. World is Sansar, body is Sharir, pleasures is Bhog. These 3 things is what we have to withdraw ourselves from. Sansar, Sharir, Bhog. Due to this practice, he gradually reduces attachment to the world, body, and pleasures. Therefore, by abstaining from food and other possessions and taking a vow of fasting, such a person becomes a Shravak of Purushat Pratima. Simply observing fasting 4 times a month doesn't make one the 4th step holding householder, and abstaining from only food isn't considered fasting because Kashaya कषाय विषयाहार त्यागो यत्र विधीयते उपवासः स विज्ञेयः शेषम उल्लंघनकम विधु. What is, it is very strongly said in Jain scriptures that if I am just fasting and there is no feeling of equanimity, there is no knowledge of self, there is no belief of self, then that is not called vas. That is called langhan. And langhan is just like a person who cannot afford food, goes without a meal. You are even stupider. You could afford the food and you did not eat. See, the person who does not have food is hungry, not by choice, but by condition. But you, having food, are, making yourself hungry for no reason. This is called langhan. And this is called you are neither rejoicing in your soul, everyone. So you're not having any spiritual benefit and you're keeping your body hungry. So you're having physical pain as well. So no spiritual gain, add-on, additional, forced physical pain. It is net loss. So those who without the knowledge of self start doing upavas, their upavas in Jain text is called langhan. Because not eating food is not dharma. Otherwise, many people who cannot afford food will become very religious people. A lion who could not find his prey for 3 days has been very religious for the last 3 days. He just could not find a prey to hunt. So that does not mean, so not eating is not upvas. Realizing that you do not eat, and this is the external dependence that has been made by the karmas. And this body is the cage that we all have been put into. And how do we withdraw from the attachment of this body? It is to just remind me of that I practice the practices like Upavasa. Okay, fine. So just I'll tell you how in different levels the Purushas Pratima happens. So there are Uttam, Madhyam and Chagarnya part. So what I can ideally do if I have to initiate with this, on Ashtami, I'll go to the temple, do puja, Bhagavanta Praksha, do Swati. I'll come back to my house. I will have food, sitting down, one meal, Ekashana. Yeah. And then I completely renounce the food. So this is Ekashana that is happening on that very day. So last evening I ate, today morning I ate. Now from this morning at about 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 a.m., I will not be eating until the next morning. So this is Ekashana. So, roughly about 12 hours of vas I would consider it. Okay. This is the lowest level just for the beginners. Then what you do, the next person would do what? He would not eat even that one single meal. So it's a 24-hour fast. Complete day you go without food. Half day you go without food is 12 hours. What is written? Minimum 12 hours. Yes, it is written, right? So minimum that is called Jaganya Proshitopavas. So you take food once and then rest of the day you go without food. That is Upavas, Proshidopavas. You do your samayik, you do your dharma, you do your self-realization, the thinking about the scriptures, tattvas, tattva vichar, tattva abhyas, you do all that. This is Jaganya Purushadopvas. Then you take and you say that, okay, I'm not going to have anything for the entire day. So now you're not going to eat for 24 hours. This is Madhyam Purushadopvas. Now, the actual way of doing Purushadopvas is quite tricky. What you'll do if you want to really be the pro at doing Purushadopvas Pratima, on 13th day, you will do Ekasana and you'll leave all the food. Then 14th will be without food. And then again on the Purnima or Amavasya, the 15th, you will again do Ekashana. So now this takes you to 36 hours. 13th ko you have done half, then 12 hours of the 13th gone without food, 24 hours of the 14th, and the 12 hours of again the 15th. Total. So technically 36 hours we are saying, but it is, if I'm spanning it, it is actually two upavasas, half of the 13th and half of the 14th, the 15th, and one full day of 14th. But we calculate not the 15th one, but that is also upavasa. This is called Uttama Purushadopavasa. This is the maximum that a Purushadopavasi should do. So similarly, just like how we did for 13, 14, 15, the same way it will happen for 7, 8, and 9. 7th Ekasana, 8th you go without food, 9th again Ekasana. Saptami Ekashana, Ashtami Upavasa, Navami Ekashana. Okay, so this is how a Proshadopavas practitioner would do it. From 12 hours till going to technically 48 hours, generally being called 36 hours. Okay, simple. So this is important. I have seen your exam papers. It's very easy. So do not worry at all. Very short, you will complete it in what, 20, 30 minutes? But the questions, I will tell you how they come. So I'm not going to tell you of the first semester exam, but now I know that how will they be asking. So if I have to make a question from this chapter, I'll give you a multiple choice question and say that, okay, Upavasa is renunciating food. Not eating food is Upavasa. True or false? So it's simple. Not eating food alone is not vasa. You're getting, so we'll be, you'll be, you'll not be asked the plain definitions and all. They'll be just testing your practical understanding of this. So where do we go wrong? What is pujan? What is vidhan? So, if I offer dhoop to Bhagwan, will it destroy all the 8 karmas? So that's a question that you have to figure out. Yeah, so I just did the paper out. I'm sorry, but you guys can prepare well. It's very good paper. I attempted it. I got full marks. And all the best to each one of you. So we'll take a short break here, and then we'll now have a journey through the remaining pratimas, which are very simple now. The complicated ones were this. Now, very interesting one pratimas will be coming. So far, up till the 4th pratima, we are seeing that how we are adding on in our daily routine practice. So darshan, establishment and further concreting of our Panchugambar Phal and Teen Makar Tyag. Vrat Pratima, we also took Anu Vratas, so 12 Vratas. In Samayik, we started taking time for ourselves for the contemplation. 3 times a day or 2 times a day based on our availability. We took that niyam. So similarly, like in Pushropas, we are making the levels. Similarly in this, for how many times do you want to sit in Samayik? And then Proshodhopas, you made it into your monthly calendar. So it came down into your planning of what you're doing on the 8th, what you're doing on Chaturdashi. So this is what the Proshodhopvas Pratima is actually now interfering with your daily calendar. Now Sachityatyag Pratima will start working with your kitchen menu. So we'll discuss about it after this 2 minutes break. Okay. Okay. Let's. Yes. So the next pratima that we have to start with is step of renouncing food containing life. So now the new term which we are going to face here is chitta. Chitta is mana. But in general terms, chitta becomes, if you remember the chapter Lakshana and Lakshana Bhas, chitta means gyan. It is denoting gyan. And wherever there is gyan, Upayogo Lakshanam. Gyan is only where the soul is. Because Gyan does not have avyapti, ativyapti or asambhav dosh. So Gyan becomes the perfect lakshan to describe soul. So if I'm saying Gyan, means I'm saying Atma. If I'm saying Atma, means I'm saying consciousness. So consciousness and soul, they're inseparable. Where there is consciousness, there has to be soul. Where there is soul, there has to be consciousness. Yes, everyone? So when I'm saying Chitta, means I'm talking about Jeev, the presence of Jeev. So when I say Sachitta, means it has presence of Jeev. When I say Achitta, it means it does not have presence of Jeev. Simple? Yeah. So now what does have Jeev? So anything which is raw, which is filled with life, which is blooming, which is beautiful, like a flower. You know, that flower which is blooming, it has Jeev, Sachitta. Yeah. Not just the life that this flower has, but there are also many microorganisms that the flower is also the living space for those jivas as well. So not just flower in itself is a jeev, it is also the host to many other jivas. So we'll see whether that particular thing itself is jeev, or if not, if what if it's a dry flower? Jiva is left. It's that flower which is also dried out. Now, now I'll have to see whether has it been cleaned or can jivas take birth in this. So Sachitta would be a jeev, would be a thing which is either host for other jivas or itself is a jeev body. We'll call that Sachitta. And Achitta would be something, a place where now there is no jiva present. There may be jivas in earlier phases. We processed it. We processed it to make it achit. So what if I brought one banana from the market? So banana is fresh. Fine. It used to be a jiv. It is raw food. We'll call it sachitta. We'll call it sachit. What will I do to make it achitta? I'll boil it. And if it is boiled, then it will become achitta. I brought vegetables from the market. They'll be called sachitta. I boil them. They become achitta. In our temples, we do not offer fruits or flowers to our Bhagwan. Why? Because the fruits and the flowers are sachitta. They have presence of jivas. So they involve hinsa. Therefore, we offer coconut pieces. We offer the rice grains because now they have dried out and there is no presence of jiva in them. So they become achitta vastu. Even the water which we offer, even that water is boiled. So it becomes achitta. If it is not boiled, it is called sachitta. To kacha pani, paka pani, what we generally say, it is actually Sachit and Achit in its terminologies. So what is Jo Sachit Bhojan Taje Pive Prasuk Neer So Sachit Tyagi Purush Pach Pratigna Gir. One who renounces food that has potential to grow and consumes only boiled water. Such a person is a true renunciant of attachments, upholding the five vows. The self-enlargement of the practitioner in the fifth stage of restraint conduct surpasses the fourth category, further reducing attachment. Even though the desire to consume food to nourish the body exists, however, food containing life, such as the bhojan, is not consumed anymore. Thus, this practitioner renounces Sachita Bhojan and consumes only boiled water for his entire life. The inner purification of the fifth step of renunciation is real, and the subdued passions, virtues, sentiments, and renunciation of food containing life is called the conventional step of renunciation, Vyavahar Pratima. The Nishya Pratima is inner purification, that further cleansing of the Apratyakhana Varin Kashaya. Yeah, that is the Nishya Pratima, and the Vyavahar Pratima is the renunciation of food containing life and the boiled water. Yes, everyone. Simple. Simple. Anybody has a question in this? The food and green vegetation. that possess the potential for growth are referred to as Sachitta. Those who can become the um, residences of the jivas, those which can become yonis or the hubs where the jivas can take life, or they can be regrown. So you cannot regrow the rice grains, but you can regrow the other grains. So therefore, we do not offer chana to Bhagwan in temple. We do not offer other pulses. We do not offer. We only offer rice grains. Why? Because it is akshat. It cannot be regrown. Once it is out and it is dried, it will not be used in further regrowth. So therefore, we offer achitta vastu to Bhagwan because it involves least of the hinsa. Yes, everyone. So now you're realizing, just you try doing this. I will consume only boiled water for this week. Okay, you take this, you change this one thing in your lifestyle. That boiled water should also be boiled and should be consumed within 24 hours. Okay. Now you edit this. Now, to do it on a day or to do it for 10 days is okay. Make it a part of your lifestyle will require extra effort. So even that simple change in your lifestyle that, okay, you'll not have even any fruit without boiling it. You'll always see that whether there are any jivas in it, and before consuming it, you'll boil it. The vegetables, you will boil it. Tomatoes, you boil it. Anything that you eat. So it will require a certain type of diminishing kashayas have to happen to for you to accommodate for these things. Yeah. Otherwise, one day from our kitchen on Ashtami or Chaturdashi, the vegetables go off and we start thinking of the menu items, what to eat today. It becomes such a big tragedy, like what is to be made, what is to be made. Nobody likes Ashtami Chaturdashi ka khana. Yeah, I'm just generalizing it. Sorry. Okay. Sixth step. Step of renouncing daytime sexual pleasures. Diva Maithun Tyag Pratima. The alternate name of this Pratima is Ratri Bhukti Tyag Pratima. So two things, two opposites are being mixed. You do not eat anything at night and you do not indulge in daytime sexual pleasures. So, what is the doha which has been given by Acharya by Panditji? Jo din brahmacharya vrat pale, तिथि आए निशि दिवस संभाले गही नव बाढ़ करे व्रत रक्षा सो षट प्रतिमा श्रावक आख्या. The layperson who observes the vow of celibacy during daytime and on special days, auspicious or prohibited days, adheres to it diligently, and who undertakes the vow of celibacy of 9 times, refer point 34, is called a follower of the 6th step of renunciation. What is happening here? We are saying that the things which involve extreme hinsa, they must, and they are present in a householder's life, they must be done on their designated time. So the purity that is appropriate and suitable in this step of renunciation is real, and the subsequent pious feelings of renunciation is the conventional stage of renunciation. So what is Vyavahar Pratima and what is Nishchay Pratima? The practitioner's soul had taken the vow of contentment with one's own wife in the second Pratima. Swadhar Santosh Vrat was the fourth Anuvrat. When you let go of the Kushil Pak partially, it becomes Swadhar Santosh Vrat, the Anuvrat of 5 Anuvratas, Ahinsanuvrat, Satyanuvrat, Acharyanuvrat, and then Swadhar Santosh Vrat, not Brahmacharyanuvrat. So you were you were anyways in the second Pratima. When you had second Pratima, we already were contented with our own spouse. So contentment with one's own wife or a spouse, I would rather say, in the second Pratima. But now, due to increase in stability in his true nature and decrease in attachment, the householder of the sixth Pratima, along with the Nava Vard, refers to the 9 restrictions or observations that are part of the Jain monastic code, observes the vow of complete celibacy during the day and on specific days of Ashtami and Chaturdashi, even on nights, etc. Householder vows not to have such inauspicious dispositions. Acharya Samantabhadra also referred the sixth Pratima as the night renunciation Pratima, Ratri Bhukti Tyag Pratima. Normally, the ordinary householder has renounced the nighttime meal, but in this Pratima, the renunciation of all types of food through action, encouragement, and applause, they are banned. They are not done. So what is happening in this Pratima is, again, because we have to gradually also uplift in our Anuvratas. So though I have not taken the vow of celibacy, but now I am on a daily basis practicing celibacy partially. So the daytime I am brahmachari, the night time I am not. On Ashtami and Chaturdashi, there is complete brahmacharya which is being observed. You know the reason, coming from the Samayik Purushadopvas, and now this Pratima is fine. Yes, everyone? Simple. So these two are, according to Acharya Samantabhadradev, he gave this Pratima the name of Ratri Bhukti Tyag. So the holder of this Pratima does not eat anything at night. But there is a problem. We have no Pratima and we do not eat anything at night. So does that mean Ratri Bhojan will only happen in the fifth Guṇasthāna? Before that, we can eat at night? We are not fifth Guṇasthāna Vartis. In fifth Guṇasthāna, first you have Darshan Pratima, Samayik Vrat Pratima, Samayik Pratima. You have Proshadopavas, you have Sachitta Tyag, and then comes the Diva Maithun Tyag or Ratri Bhukti Tyag Pratima. So for us, the Ratri Bhojan is allowed. What do you guys say? Huh? See, here the Tyag is with conviction of Krit, Karit and Anumodana. It is the complete, without any exception. Sometimes you'll have water during night. If your doctor says to, you'll have your tablet in the night. You're not eating anything at night, but you make your children eat at night. Or you have chips, you have fruits, you have dry fruits. You have made different arrangements that, okay, I do not have ann in the night, but I have certain other things. This will not work in this Pratima. You'll not eat. If guests have arrived at your home, you will not even offer them the food during night. This is the conviction of this sixth Pratima. So therefore, it is called Ratri Bhukti Tyag Pratima, and it is practicing of celibacy during the day strictly, just to encourage and just to uplift your Shiksha Vrata and Anuvratas. So it becomes this Pratima. Okay, seventh step. Complete celibacy. So here the partial celibacy was there, Diva Maithun Tyag Pratima. In the seventh Pratima, Brahmacharya. जो नव वाणी सहित विधि साध है, निषदिन ब्रह्मचर्य आराध है, सो सप्तम प्रतिमाधर ज्ञाता, शील शिरोमणि जगत प्रधान. Now, this is important. In Jain philosophy, whenever we are describing the celibacy, we are always mentioning the Navapad. Okay, there are 9 types of boundaries which we create. And these boundaries are very important. And in today's hyperly advanced world, these boundaries are disappearing. See, we acknowledge, though we say that the work does not happen by nimitta, the work happens by upadan, but we cannot just decline or reduce the importance of nimitta namitic sambandh. Okay? So if I am trying to practice brahmacharya, so acharyas have said that, okay, if you really want to practice brahmacharya, you'll have to make 9 boundaries. What are those 9 boundaries? Let's just have a quick glance at their names, because in the 6th Pratima also they were named. Navavada, 9 prohibitions. Not to remain in the company of women or men, for both male and female. Opposite, not to remain in the company of opposite gender. Not to look with an attachment-filled gaze. So you do not have to stare, not to engage in secretive conversations, letter exchanges. So don't write WhatsApp messages, text, emails, talk, call to the opposite gender for no reason in friendships or in any ways. So don't engage in secretive conversations. Not to remember past sensual pleasures, whatever experiences we have had in the past, do not have the memory of it. Not to consume rich or indulgent food that incites passion. So do not have heavy meals if you are willing to practice brahmacharya. Not to engage in beautification or adornment that arouses desires. So do not have too much of makeup for both, having exquisite jewelry or, different ornaments like watch, like unnecessary uh, additions to your dress code, so that not to engage in beautification or adornment that arouses desires, not to sit or sleep on seats, beds that belong to other couple or other to women. So, if I enter somebody's room and that is not my room, I should stop myself from sitting in the bed of that whoever that person is, male or female. Not to listen to stories, songs, etc., that incite passion. Yeah. But in today's times, we have, very short form videos, and nobody knows what comes in that when you swipe up. So, not to listen to stories, songs, etc., that incite passion, and not to eat more than one's hunger. So, do not eat more than you want, more than your hunger. So, overeating also leads to fueling of the passions. So, these are the 9 conscious boundaries which a person, if he wants to practice brahmacharya, would draw. We call it Navabad or Sheel ke no bad. So Sheel means the celibacy. If I have to follow the path of brahmacharya, celibacy, and I want to be a celibate, then I have to strictly follow these 9 boundaries. And this is very particularly mentioned in Jain philosophy, and you'll be amazed when you'll be reading about the types of uh, uh, Brahma Parinam that may happen. And then, 18,000 types of brahmacharya, 18,000 types of dosh, which Muniraj does not let arise in their own brahmacharya. You would be amazed. So there is not, when the brahmacharya is explained in Jain scripture, so how many types of women? Because it is mentioned from the perspective of Muniraj. So they're predominantly talking about female. But you may say take it for opposite gender. So whoever is taking. So for a girl, it would be a male person. For a male, it would be a female. So how many types of female for a monk they have described? So there is Sachitta female, Achitta female, you have Chetan Stri, Achetan Stri, and then you have Triyanchini, even the animal, female animal. And in today's world, when we see news, when we read news, there is no wonder that Abrahma ka Parinam, the Parinam of Kushil, it can be directed towards anybody. So, seeing a statue of woman and touching it, that is Abrahma. Yeah. A female animal, even they are included. So the interactions, the touching, even that is involved and that is mentioned in the great descriptions of brahmacharya. So no other religions describes the celibacy in such detail like Jainism does. And it's so practical. The more we read and we consume content about all these sexual offenses that are happening around the world, the more we see that how 2000 years ago people were writing about these things, that okay, if you want to actually be the follower of brahmacharya, so alone wearing white clothes will not do. Okay, I have started wearing white clothes, I am brahmachari. It does not work like this. You'll have to stop your interaction. You'll have to stop even consuming content, seeing the photos, seeing these sketches, making these sketches. Everything it involves a Brahma Parinam. So that is all completely prohibited if a person progresses to this Pratima. Okay. So we have the seventh Pratima. So in the sixth Pratima, it was partial brahmacharya during the daytime and nothing to eat completely in night. In the seventh Pratima, we have Navabad brahmacharya Pratima. So on this Pratima, the householder will not be a married person. If he'll be married person, he will mutually with his wife, they both will take brahmacharya and they'll start living in the same house but in separate rooms. Yeah, so it will be complete brahmacharya that will be starting from the seventh Pratima. Up till sixth Pratima, the person can be a married person without brahmacharya. Eighth, I think I missed it. Therefore, always practicing brahmacharya along with the observance of the nine vratas, day and night, and pledging not to allow the aforementioned types of sentiments to arise. He also conducts himself accordingly. Such a householder, Shravak is termed the crown jewel of morality. Shila Shiromani is the seventh Pratima Shravak. So it's a name that we all can recall later on if it is asked ever in exam. Who is called Shila Shiromani? Jewel of morality, fourth Pratima holder, fifth Pratima holder, or seventh Pratima holder. It is the seventh step of complete celibacy, Brahmacharya Pratima holder. Yes, you must have heard about this story. So there was this couple. In their different childhoods, the girl took the vow in front of his guru that I will follow the Brahmacharya on the rising moon phase, and the boy took the brahmacharya of the decreasing moon phase. So one followed the brahmacharya of Krishna Paksha, one followed the brahmacharya of Shukla Paksha. They got married. So they then followed that they both became each other's friend in helping each other in continuing their vow of brahmacharya, and they remain celibate for the entire duration of their lives for that purpose. So this is how Shil Shiromani functions when a person. So brahmacharya is the testing of the highest form of self-control. Okay, so I'll tell you why. This is a very good anecdote. So we have five senses. This is mentioned in our scriptures. That why this is so important. So five senses. We have sparshan, rasna, ghan, chakshu, karn. Okay. Which out of these five senses have you had for most part of your past? You were never without sparshan indriya. Even when you were in Nigur, when I was in Nitya Nigur, I had one sense, which is sparshan indriya. So the highest intensified sanskar that I have are of sparshan indriya. इसलिए the काम भाव is found across in all the jivas. Though the two sensed organisms, three sensed organisms, four sensed organisms, they do not reproduce. They are napunsak linga. Yet they are seen touching each other. They have the kam vasana. Because it is the sanskar of sparshan indriya. So this is what children learn. This is what every species learn without any training. So these sanskar, they come up. So therefore, first, the highest number of times, we have never ceased to ever have a body. So since there is no beginning. Since very inception, we all have been equipped with this sparshan indriya. So the sanskar of sparshan indriya are the highest. And even the Brahma had four faces because he could not follow celibacy. The Shankara, he had to open his third eye because of he could not, and he had to have Parvati imbibed in his own body because he could not follow the brahmacharya in that way. So this is one. While we do Mahavir Bhagwan's pujan, we say that okay, the great enemy of all the Bhagwans of the world have been destroyed by you, Bhagwan, because everybody gets defeated by the calm, and you have destroyed that calm. So therefore, I adore you. The second most important sense is Rasna Indriya, because that is what keeps this body alive. So therefore, entire course of Jain Vratas, you'll have only two things. Either you do not eat this or you follow Brahmacharya. There is no third vow. Either they're talking about you not eat something, or they're talking about you have control over your sparshan indriya. Think about it. So all the vratas, they get included in sparshan and rasla. So those, it is there in Pahud Doha. Those who have mastered in controlling their sense of tongue and sense of taste, only they are going to lead this world. Those who can control their sensual desires and their taste buds, then they become undefeatable in this world. Okay? Let's just quickly read the eighth step. Eighth step of renunciation worldly endeavors. Now, Ātmānubhūti Pratimā. जो विवेक विधि आदरे करे न पापारम सो अष्टम प्रतिमा धनी कुगति विजय रणथम्य. One who with discernment refrains from engaging in sinful activities, such a person as the eighth Pratima Dhari conquers the battle against wrong conduct and becomes wealthy of good conduct. The householder in the eighth step of renunciation has attained a certain degree of purity, which is defined as the real step of renunciation, Nishya Pratima, due to indifference towards the world, body, and sensual pleasures, sansar, sharir, and bhog, and with diminished attachment, the arising psychic thoughts, should it be? Psychic thoughts, Vikalp, also become limited. And abstaining from external engagements is conventional renunciation, Vyavahara Pratima. The householder in the eighth step of renunciation is firmly established in self and carefully observes righteous conduct. Carefully by giving up even thoughts of weapons, writing, asi, masi, krishi, agriculture, vanijya, trade, commerce, other sinful activities, thereby renouncing all kinds of worldly activities. We can mark this paragraph for grammatical errors in sentence formation. So we suggest it to the editor team. A psychic word is wrong, and the other is coming two types, and the two other is not mentioned. Asi, Masi, Krishi, Vanijya, Shilp, Kala. So Kala, Shilp, Vanijya could be done. What is happening? What is Arambha? Arambha is initiation. Arambha is initiation. What is initiation? Whenever I start or I begin to do something worldly. So let's say I will do Arambha of selling clothes. So I'm selling clothes. So I have done the Arambha. I have done the initiation. I've initiated to engage in a transaction. Now, the thing about Arambha is it compulsorily, mandatorily involves hinsa. Whatever you will initiate, you initiate your car, it is Arambha. It will involve hinsa. You start cleaning your house, you're doing dusting, it will end up in hinsa. This is called Arambha. So whatever we do inside our house or outside of it, all our business practices and household practices. So cooking food is Arambha. Walking, Arambha. Talking, teaching, engaging, all these things, if they are happening, if they involve man, vachan, kai, and they are basically the transactions of this world, which make our house running, which is called our living, our occupation, all these activities will be called Arambha. What will this person do who has taken already the brahmacharya and now has progress towards Ashtam Arambha Tyag Pratima, he will say, okay, enough of this madness. I only need meals 2 times a day, that too on Ashtami and Chaturdashi. I do not eat. I only need 2 pairs of clothes, 3 pairs of clothes. I need one mat. I need one box, one small uh, room. So why should I work morning till evening? To what? What will I do with all that money? I do not have anything to spend. I do not eat anything such it. I do not have anything to eat. I am brahmachari. I do not have any adventure to take. How will I spend money? If you have come till the seventh pratima, you now do not even have a family in brahmacharya. You do not even have to spend for people who are dependent on you. Nobody is dependent on you. So what will you do by earning? So he says, okay, I stop all the work. Asi, fighting work, Masi, writing work, Krishi, agriculture work, Shilp, karigari work, artistic work, Kala, like acting, singing, playing, all these work, the uh, creative works, and Vanijya, all sorts of business, I'll stop. So this person will not have any occupation, will not have any income coming in. He will have his savings maybe. He will not be dependent on others for his food though, because he has his own self-respect. So he's not, dependent on others. He's not forcing himself onto others. But he has realized that he is sufficient to comfortably pass this life, and he'll not engage in active occupation to earn money for this growth. This is Arambha Tyag Pratima. Now it is quite tricky to do. How many of us are in position to take voluntary retirement? We've seen people who are in their 70s and they still go to office, they still run their businesses, they still go to their shops. It becomes so difficult to stop doing what you have been doing for your entire life. So it requires a very, very, very diminished degree of passion to make us this decision. So he does not involve himself now in any of these sinful activities of Arambha. Ninth, step of renunciation of possessions. Parigrahyas. First, you left Arambha, so you stopped engaging in any of the business related activities, any of the occupational activities, any of the economical activities. But you had your savings account, you had your means, you had your clothes, your house. Now he said, no, I don't want any of these things. And now you're letting go of that parigraha also. So parigraha tyaga pratima, जो जो दशधा परिग्रह को त्यागी, सुख संतोष सहित वैरागी, समरस संचित किंचित ग्राही, सो श्रावक नो प्रतिमा बाही. What is happening in this pratima? One who renounces all 10 types of possessions with happiness and contentment is a detached one. Balanced and accepting both little and much, such a person is Shravaka, bearing the 9 vows. The purity of the householder in the 9th step of renunciation further enhances, and it is the real step of renunciation of possessions. Nishya Parigraha Tyag Pratima. Simultaneously, passions have diminished, hence keeping only minimum necessary possessions. He has the auspicious disposition of renouncing all other 10 types of possessions. This external renunciation is conventional renunciation of possessions. The life of this practitioner becomes filled with detachment, contentment, and equanimity. So he even says that, okay, I own nothing, so he'll call his children, his family members, he'll assign everybody all his property, all his belongings. He'll keep only minimal things and he'll say, okay, I'll not engage in any of the economical activities and I'll not own any of these things. So he's completely now sort of detached. And he has reached to the 9th stage. Now the last 2 stages, they become very crucial. Now what is left to be renounced? So step of renunciation of giving advice, Anumati Tyag Pratima. So though I was not the owner of the house, but I was the father of the house. The person who would everybody come to who would be approached by everybody. So my son would come and say, "Okay, should I do this? We are thinking of opening this business. Should we do it?" Now, if I am in this 10th Pratima, I'll say, do whatever you want to do, just don't talk to me about any of these things. Because I have let go of Arambha, I have let go of Parigraha. How can I become a party to your new adventure, your new initiation? I cannot be a part of it. So you do not need to take permission from me. You do not need to take advice from me. So he will not advise, he will not give any permission. Parko Papa Rambako, Jona Dei Upadesh. One who does not give the Upadesh or advice of Papa Rambha, of doing sinful activities. So Dashmi Pratima Sahit Shravak Vigat Kalesh. So now he does not have any any Kalesh in this Shravak. One who does not instruct or give advice to others, such a Shravak free from mental disturbances, Kalesh is mental disturbance, attains the 10th step. The purity of the householder, 10th step of renunciation, has further increased. And that pure state is real, Nischayapatuna. In this state, the natural indifference, meaning the mildness of attachment, increases to such an extent that he does not provide any advice, consent, or permission in any way regarding worldly affairs, business, marriage, etc., to their family members and well-wishers. This is a conventional step of renunciation, Vyavhar Pratima. This practitioner is called an excellent disciple, Uttam Shravaka. So in Dasmi Pratima, you become the Uttam Shravaka. Now comes the 11th Pratima, the last one. A step of renunciation of food is specifically made for him. Uddishta Tyaga Pratima. जो जो सुचंद बरते तज डेरा मठ मंडप में करे बसेरा उचित आहार दंड विहारी so ekadash pratima dhare. This is the last pratima. Now this person has stopped living in his house. So there do jo suchand varate, one who freely roams, abandoning residence, stays in temples, monasteries, and pavilions, consumes food not prepared intentionally for him. Such a person upholds 11th vow. The householder in the 11th step of renunciation is considered the highest and ultimate level of the householder's spiritual journey. These householders are of two types, Shullaka and Ailaka, Jain monastic stages. The superior state of 11 stage is known as Alaka. Beyond this stage, one attains the status of Muni, ascetic. In this stage, the householder's detachment intensifies significantly, and the state of absence of psychic thoughts, nirvikal visha, is attained more frequently and for extended periods. This external pure state is step of real renunciation, and along with it, the external state of mild passions, along with outward virtuous dispositions and corresponding external behavior, is the conventional renunciation, Vyavahar Uddishta Tyag Pratima. So, what is Uddishta? To speak is Uddishta. So, I called you that, okay, I am coming tomorrow to your town. Can you arrange food for me? Can I come to your house for food? So, I called you and I asked for food. Yes, this is Uddishta Bhojan. I told you to make food for me. But now just imagine we met in the temple and you asked, when did you come? Okay, no, chalo, let's go. The food is ready, you have to come with us. So you took me to your house. I did not tell you, you did not prepare anything new for me. You already had your food prepared. We just shared with me. Okay, so now I did not ask for it, so no additional hinsa has happened. No additional you made for your family. That hinsa was anyways going to happen. Now for my food, there is not additional hinsa, single additional grain that has been put into violence because of me. So I have Uddishta Tyag, that I will just play this great game of a great gamble of luck. I will say, let's find out today will I get food or not. And I will not ask for it. I cannot cook because I am Arambha Tyagi. I cannot tell my any of the family members because I am Anumati Tyagi, so I do not instruct, I do not advise. And now, so I do not even live in my house, so nobody knows whether I have eaten anything or not. So now, what way is there? Can I beg Bhiksham Dehi, give me food? Can I do that? I cannot. So in Jain tradition, we are not bhikshus. In Buddhism and in Hinduism, there is bhiksha, there is bhikshus. So the sadhus and the sant, they are given bhikshas, they are given some dhan. And they also call for it, bhiksham dehi and all. Jain monks don't do it. They have singha vritti. They will show up. And if you think that you want to offer, you offer. If you don't, they'll rather keep fast and they'll be rather happy about it. I'll do tap, I'll burn more karmas today. Burn more karmas today. So this is tapa. Okay? So the 11th pratima is where the householder does not tell anybody to cook food or they do not ask for food. So in this stage, householder's detachment intensifies significantly. Householder who reaches such a stage becomes increasingly indifferent to the worldly affairs and the body. The practitioners of this level are akin to munis as they renounce the food prepared for his sake. Navkoti Purvak Uddishta Ahara and lives independently of his own self-will, separate from household and family commitments. In the Alika state, only one langoti and a pitchy kamandalu, peacock feather, whisk, earthen or wood water pot of an ascetic are retained, and all other external possessions are renounced. In the Kshullaka state, the detachment is not equivalent to that of the Alika state, even though their actions related to food and living are similar to those of Alika, but some attachment remains, so they keep a covering cloth, chadar, besides a langon and keep a cloth in place of pichi and can shave and eat in dish. Yes. So Elikas will only have one cloth on their body. The Chullikas will have two clothes. One chadar they keep extra to cover their body. Though they have the same vows, but their its strength is not up to that level. So they have kept it. So they do not keep the Mayur Pichi also to clean everything. The Elikas will also have Pichi Kamandal along with the clothes. Yes. So, but some attachment remains, so they keep a covering cloth besides Langoti and keep a cloth in place of Pichi and can shave and eat in dish. The followers of this mode have strictly renounced household life, Graha Prata. They do not live at house. The Muni who experiences the state of inner bliss without psychic thoughts at least once every Antarmuhurt and who constantly maintains a detached state, Vitarata, that Muni is Bhavalinga. The auspicious manifestations of 28 Mulguna, primary virtues, and others that accompany is called Dravyalinga, and corresponding actions are also called Dravyalinga. Similarly, in the state of fifth stage of spiritual development, Gunasthan, the householder Shravaka occasionally experiences the bliss of the self, Swarupanand, that continuous and appropriate detached internal state is indeed the Nishya Pratima. And according to the stages of renunciation, the corresponding dispositions bhav with mild passions called bhav dravya pratima, conventional renunciation, vyavhar pratima. The external actions that are in accordance with the conventional pratima and have nimitta namittic cause, affluent cause, instrumental cause, affluent cause relationship are also called conventional pratima. The soul which has dravya pratima and considers it as the true form of conduct will be bound by the false belief mithyatva. With the bondage of false belief, but due to the mildness of passion, there will certainly be merit punya bondage in the attachment of heavenly realms. However, it cannot bring an end to the cycle of birth and death, that is samsara. The instructions in the fifth stage of spiritual development, Gunasthan, is to gradually adopt 11 steps of renunciation progressively from the beginning. The conditions of the pratima that has been accepted earlier does not change or decrease in the subsequent pratimas. It's only augmented. The lay persons who follow the vows up to the six pratimas are minimum householders, Shravakas. those who follow the vows of the seventh Pratima up to the ninth Pratimas are moderate householders, and those who observe the vows of the 10th Pratimas to the 11th Pratimas are called excellent householders. So Uttam Shravakas, Madhyam Shravakas, and Jagani Shravakas. Okay. The important topic of Dravyalinga and Bhavlinga, which was mentioned in the last paragraph, I think we have reached to the saturation today. So I will not discuss it abhi. We'll do it while we'll be doing the chapter of happiness, which we were supposed to do today, but we are running behind on that chapter number 5. We'll be doing that chapter in the next session, and there we'll be discussing about the Dravyalinga and Bhavlinga and how beautifully the Jainism addresses the inner reality of soul as well as the external reality of this body. Okay, we'll stop here. I'll revise the last paragraph in the next session while we'll be doing the next chapter. Okay, let's stop here for the Gandharvach.
Poonamji, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Jai Jinendra. I actually specifically chose to do the Gandharvachar on happiness when the sort of options were sent round, because I thought, for me, it seems like in the middle of all my endeavors, what I'm doing is actually searching for happiness. And that's what I see everybody else doing. So I thought this was an opportunity to explore what seems like a very fundamental question to me, really, in life. A common perception seems to be that happiness comes from a lot of the worldly possessions. We have a new car, house, laptop, television, etc. That's one perception of about happiness. And the other, of course, can be still worldly things, although they may not be sensory. You may want fame or power. I want success, achievement. I want to be recognized. I want applause, accolade, etc. But it has become clear that those things can give sort of some very temporary happiness, because I keep then wanting more things. I want more success. I want more applause, more recognition. And also, it's never a complete happiness, because even while I have, say, some success or some objects, I'm at the same time, I'm aware that there's some things I don't have. I don't have this success or this part. I don't have this other thing that maybe I want. So it's never a complete happiness. And that's quite logical, really, because with infinite beings, with all their increasing desires, there's no way I can have everything. So I can't be permanently happy. So what happens then? I've been told that, yes, if you look at others who are less fortunate than you, then you'll be more satisfied, you'll be content, you won't desire things. Now, that can lead either to ego and pride, or have more than them, or it can also lead to lack of compassion. It can also, of course, also lead to gratitude, which is a good quality. But still, it can't be permanent, because the tables might turn, and at some point, somebody else will have more than me. And also, I've seen that there's not much of a correlation. People who seem to have less seem to be happier, and vice versa. So, what then happens? Then some people say, well, happiness is imaginary, it doesn't exist. I can't sit with that, because I do experience times of happiness, even though they are temporary. So I do believe there's happiness, but at the same time, a lot of the times I sort of feel like a dog chasing its tail, really. So if I want to be happy, I decided that I sort of realized that I have to actually examine the nature of I. I want to be happy. So what is this I? And that brought me to the fundamentals of Jain philosophy, which is the difference between Jeev and Ajeev. I am a Jeev. I have capacity for sensory perception, knowledge, pleasure and pain. I can experience happiness. I want to avoid suffering. I want happiness. And there's the Ajeev, which have sparsh, ras, gandh, etc., but they don't have the qualities that I do. And the basic flaw that I have made is thinking, and I realize that the two things are separate. They don't affect each other. They can't. And my basic flaw has been to try and mix up the two. So I think I can get happiness from the Ajeev. Whereas actually logic, if I think about it, logic tells me how can I get from the ajiv or the pudgal, something that it doesn't possess, it doesn't have the capacity for happiness. So how can I get it from that? And even other jivas in the universe who are not pudgal, they're actually searching, they have their own karmic journeys, they're searching for their own happiness, they're not finding it. So how can they be a source of my happiness? So the only way I can find happiness is to look in the place where there's a possibility of it existing, which is my own self. Now, the problem with looking at my own self for happiness can be and is that I come into this material world in this paryay with a lot of kashais attached to it already. And also I keep throwing more and more kashais at it. So what do I do to get to the inner soul, which perhaps has the capacity for happiness? And that's what my understanding and my sort of learning about Jainism has sort of given me some insight. That one of the ways around it is to develop the Samyagdarśana, so that in Samyagdarshan and in Samyagyan, I'm becoming aware that there is Jeev and there's Pudgal and the two are separate. And I can develop the Charitra so that I'm not depending on the Pudgal, and I'm trying to become self-sufficient. If I have that, if I try to evolve that Samyak Darshan Gyan Charitra, that can give me the Nishchay then to try and practice some of the other disciplines, like I can contemplate on Bara Bhavna, or I can try and evolve and develop in myself some of the virtues of the Das Lakshans, etc. So in conclusion, what it brought me to is that happiness is not really an ichha. It's not a passive thing that I can receive. It is my bhavna, it is my own potent force, which I have to develop through my own inner purification and strength. So in a way, happiness is my karma. And the other conclusion is that my karma is not towards fulfilling my desires, because there is no end to it. The karma is actually somehow stopping the desires through all the disciplines I've been talking about. And it's actually being free from the desires. And the word free is very important to me because it's the opposite of bondage. And that's the state that I am in this material world. And that is the state that Siddhas have escaped from. So that sort of is the end aim and some of the practice. And to me, that really is, if you like, the Jain science of happiness and how I can try and apply it in my life. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. So the desires are not happiness. This is what you have said. And you have also entailed what all is discussed in this chapter. Let's remove the chapter. Let me just ask you, if you are to define happiness in your own words, what will that definition be? What do you think? Not just what we read and what we learn and the jargons,
Yeah.
what according to you?
So happiness is a state of, for me, it's a, I don't want to use to the jargon word like nirakulta, but it is a state of not feeling restless and wanting something. In fact, even the desire for happiness itself creates, even if I'm not desiring the material things, the desire for happiness itself creates a sense of restlessness. So it is actually being sort of being content with the self. And I think, as you were saying earlier in the chapter, knowing that I actually am complete, and I will get to wherever I need to get to. And I think the reduction in kashais is very important.
So, are you happy?
Some of the time, I'm happy, even I'm happier than I was, say, a year ago, even understanding what I understand now. But yeah, that's all.
So nice. Yeah, so in this chapter, there's one very specific thing that you do not acquire happiness, you are the embodiment of it. And I think that's what, where we all are progressing towards, that instead of pursuing the happiness, we should rather sit down and let happiness come to us. We are complete the completeness will automatically rush towards us. So I think in that way, nirakulta means not wanting anything, not even happiness. And when you abandon all desires, what remains is that contentment, that happiness. So it's such a beautiful way to put that, to be happy, people ask, what do you have to do? Tirthankaras say, you don't do anything and you'll be happy. You don't have to do anything to be happy. You do, and that's how you put yourself into this great run of um, uh, suffering and the grief, the anxieties, the discontentment, the failures. If we stop running in this race, I think nobody can stop us from being happy because we, anyways, are. So, like a room is anyways dark. To bring darkness, you need not do like you will have to have some dark torches and you turn those dark torches on. You just turn off the lights. The soul is innately happy. You just have to turn off the lights of these desires that we have kept switched on for so many times. All that remains is darkness. All that remains is happiness if we come back to our innate nature. We'll be discussing it in the next session. Thank you so much for the wonderful vachan and a beautiful reply. Let's do Jinmani Stuti. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है 9 times from Kanji. पंचांग में जिनवाणी माता की जय हो महान जैन धर्म की जय हो जय